Hello, and welcome back to Tale of Wonder. This is the place where we explore those stories that just feel chef's kiss like pure, unfiltered karma. If you enjoy dramatic tales where massive egos meet an immovable object, and you love a twist that makes you rethink the entire story, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You're in the right place. All right, pull up a chair. You are not going to believe the sheer, delicious, five-star restaurant level irony of this one. Today, we're talking about a man who is all muscle and the man who is all, well, you'll see. Let's begin today's story. Let's set the scene. Our protagonist, or maybe our antagonist, you decide, was a man named Leo McGovern. But nobody, and I mean nobody, called him Leo. To the world, he was Blaze. Leo Blaze McGovern. And Blaze wasn't just a name, it was a lifestyle. It was a brand. Blaze was a middleweight MMA fighter who had clawed his way to the top, not just with skill, though he had it, but with a mouth that could write checks his fists could usually cash. He was a walking, talking inferno of testosterone, spray tan, and energy drinks. His entire life was an Instagram post. Picture him, 240 pounds of sculpted, tattooed muscle, poured into a pair of jeans so tight they looked painted on. His beard was trimmed to an aggressive point. His car, a custom-wrapped, neon green Lamborghini, screamed, "I have money and I am insecure about it," every time it roared down the street. His entourage was exactly what you'd expect. There was Mouse, his childhood friend who now served as a professional hype man and cameraman. There was Dave, his business manager, who mostly just carried a clipboard and nodded. And then there was Amber, his girlfriend, who was less a person and more an accessory. All pouty lips, high-end athletic wear, and a phone that was permanently recording. Blaze had just come off a massive pay-per-view win. A brutal second-round knockout. He was, in his own mind, invincible. A god of the modern age. He believed the world was divided into two groups, predators and prey, the strong and the weak. And he was the apex predator. This mindset, this crushing, suffocating ego, is precisely why he was in such a foul mood on this particular Saturday morning. Because Amber had dragged him to, of all places, a farmer's market. Not a gritty, inner-city market. Oh no, this was the bougie kind. The Sweetwater Hills Organic Collective. A place where the lettuce cost more than a steak, and everyone was wearing $1,000 yoga pants. Blaze hated it. He hated the smell of lavender and artisanal goat cheese. He hated the acoustic guitar player softly strumming Wonderwall. He hated the peace. To him, peace was just a word for weakness. "Babe, come on," Amber whined, filming an heirloom tomato. "It's authentic. Dr. Oz says we need more organic kale. It's rabbit food. Ambassador, I'm a lion." Blaze grumbled, his arms crossed so tightly his biceps looked like they might burst from his sleeves. He slouched against a stall selling wind chimes, radiating pure, unadulterated scorn. He was a shark in a koi pond, a grenade in a yoga class. And that's when he saw him. Across the cobblestone path, nestled between a stall for probiotic kimchi and one for hand-knitted alpaca socks, was a simple, unadorned wooden table. Behind it sat a man. This man was, in every conceivable way, the anti-Blaze. He was small, perhaps in his late 50s, with a kind, wrinkled face and a clean-shaven head. He was wearing a simple, saffron-colored robe. He was unmistakably a monk. The monk stall wasn't selling food. It was selling things. Small, intricate things. Hand-carved wooden birds. Calligraphy scrolls with single, elegant characters. Little wooden puzzles that looked impossibly complex. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't hustling. He was just sitting. He'd smile at passers-by, and if they stopped, he'd speak to them in a low, calm voice. Blaze stared. He felt a familiar, ugly itch build in his chest. It was the itch of contempt. This relic, this cartoon character. In his world of sweat, blood, and screaming crowds, this man was a joke. A living, breathing symbol of everything Blaze despised. Passivity, humility, weakness. "Hey, Mouse," Blaze growled, nudging his friend. "Get a load of this. It's Kung Fu Panda." Mouse, ever the hype man, snickered. "Yo, champ, maybe he can teach you the touch of death." Amber's phone, predictably, swung around. Oh my God, babe, don't. That's so. Wait, this is hilarious. Go talk to him. A small, cruel smile spread across Blaze's face. He was bored. He was annoyed. And he had an audience. It was time to put on a show. Blaze uncrossed his arms. The air around him seemed to thicken. He swaggered across the path, his entourage trailing him like pilot fish on a shark. The quiet shoppers instinctively gave him space. He stopped directly in front of the monk's table. The monk looked up. His eyes were clear, and his smile was genuine, untroubled. Good morning, young man. Can I help you find something? Blaze ignored the question. He picked up one of the small, intricately carved wooden birds. It was beautiful, each feather rendered with delicate precision. This is cute, Blaze said, his voice dripping with condescension. He tossed it in his hand. What did you do? Whittle this with your chi? Mouse snorted. Amber giggled. Babe, you're so bad. The monk's smile didn't waver. It is a representation of mindfulness, son. Each cut requires complete presence. To focus on one small thing, and only that thing. This response, this calmness, it was like gasoline on Blaze's internal fire. It infuriated him. He hated being called son by this twig. Presence, huh? Blaze said, I'll show you presence. And with a sound like a firecracker, Blaze crushed the wooden bird in his fist. The crowd around them gasped. A woman selling sourdough bread looked horrified. The music stopped. Splinters of light-colored would rain down onto the table. Blaze opened his hand, showing the destruction. See? Presence. It's gone. All that mindfulness didn't do a thing, did it? The monk looked at the splinters. He didn't look angry. He didn't look sad. He looked analytical. He then looked up at Blaze, his gaze not judging, but evaluating. That must have taken a great deal of energy, the monk said, his voice still perfectly even. Are you feeling all right? This was the trigger. This Nat. This frail old man in a bedsheet, asking him, Blaze McGovern, if he was all right. The insolence. Am I all right? Blaze laughed, a harsh, barking sound. He leaned over the table, getting in the monk's space. The monk didn't lean back. I'm great, Blaze spat. But you? You're a joke. This whole act, this peace and love uniform, it's just a costume for cowards. It's for people too scared to do anything, too weak to be anything. My robes are a tradition, not a costume, the monk replied simply. And strength can be measured in many ways. Oh, can it? Blaze was in full performance mode now. All the phones were out. A circle had formed. This was going viral, and Blaze knew it. Okay, Yoda, let's test that theory. You think your way is strong? I bet all that inner peace wouldn't stop one simple, friendly tap. He bounced on his feet. He shadowboxed, his movements explosive. You know what? Let's find out. Right here, right now. Me and you. Just a friendly spar. The crowd was horrified. A security guard was approaching, but he looked 19 and terrified. Sir, the guard said weakly, I'm going to have to ask you to... It's fine, kid. Blaze waved him off. We're just having a philosophical discussion. Right, Grandpa? The monk sighed. It was a deep, weary sound. Son, this is wholly unnecessary. I am here to sell these crafts to help repair the roof of our sanctuary. I have no interest in sparring with you. Sanctuary. Blaze howled with laughter. You mean your clubhouse for dudes who are scared of a real job? Come on, don't be scared. I won't even hit you. I just want to see one of your magic moves. He struck a ridiculous one-leg pose, his hands held like claws. Am I doing it right? Is this the five-finger death touch? The monk looked at the splintered bird. He looked at the other items on his table, the work of his friends, his community. He looked at the circle of expectant, horrified faces. Look, Blaze said, sensing he was winning. I'll make you a deal. You fight me for 10 seconds. Just 10. If you're still standing, hell, if you can even touch me, I'll buy all this firewood. He gestured to the entire stall of intricate carvings. I'll pay for your whole stupid roof. Double. The monk's eyes met his. But Blaze continued, his voice dropping to a menacing purr. When I tap you and you fall down, and you'll fall down, you just have to say, into that camera. He pointed to Amber's phone. You have to say, MMA is the only true art, and I am a fraud. The proposition hung in the air. It was cruel. It was public. It was a perfect trap. The monk was silent for a long moment. He closed his eyes. He took one deep, slow breath. He opened them. You will not harm me. Harm you? Blaze scoffed. Gramps, I'm not going to harm you. I'm just going to tap you. It won't even hurt. Probably. He winked at Mouse's camera. The monk nodded once, a sharp, decisive movement that was strangely out of character. 10 seconds, the monk said, for the roof. He stood up. He wasn't tall. He wasn't muscular. He looked, if anything, smaller outside the confines of his chair. He walked around the table, his sandals scuffing on the cobblestones. Oh, this is gold, shouted Mouse. Babe, yes. Get him, cheered Amber. Blaze cracked his neck. He spread his feet into a fighting stance, his hands loose. He was the picture of a coiled viper. The monk just stood there. He didn't take a stance. His hands were loose at his sides, slightly raised, palms inward. He looked relaxed. He looked like he was waiting for a bus. This final, placid insult was too much. Fine, Blaze yelled. Have it your way. This is for all the fakes. Night-night, Grandpa. And he threw the punch. Let's be clear. This wasn't Blaze's octagon ending. Good night, Irene, overhand right. He wasn't trying to kill the man. He was, however, trying to embarrass him. It was a show-off punch. A blindingly fast, piston-like jab aimed right at the monk's chest. It was designed to make a loud, satisfying thwack, to send the old man flying backwards, to make him crumple into the alpaca sock display. It was a punch to end the argument, definitively. It was fast. But the monk was something else. From Blaze's perspective, the world suddenly went wrong. It was like a glitch in the Matrix. The monk, who had been standing perfectly still, wasn't there. He hadn't ducked. He hadn't blocked. He hadn't dodged. He had melted. It was the only word Blaze could think of. The monk seemed to flow inside the punch, moving not away from it, but toward it, at an angle Blaze's fighter brain couldn't compute. Blaze's fist, aimed at a solid target, suddenly met nothing but empty farmer's market air. His momentum, all 240 pounds of it, was committed. He was overextended. He was, for a critical half-second, off balance. And in that half-second, the universe changed. As his punch sailed over the monk's shoulder, Blaze felt a sudden, cold pressure. Not a punch, not a kick, not a slap. It felt like two fingers, just tapping. The monk had moved inside Blaze's guard, and with what looked like zero effort, had brushed the inside of Blaze's extended elbow. It wasn't a strike. It was a nudge. Simultaneously, Blaze felt the monk's other hand, just the flat palm, connect lightly with his hip. It was a classic, subtle, off-balancing push-pull, but it was executed with a speed and precision that felt inhuman. Blaze's body, an instrument of power, suddenly had no foundation. His brain was screaming punch, but his legs were getting a signal of fall. He stumbled, a clumsy, lurching step. He tried to correct, to plant his foot, to regain his center and turn this embarrassment into a spin move. He was too slow. The monk was already behind him. Blaze hadn't even seen him move. It was like he'd teleported. Before Blaze could even think about turning, he felt something on his right wrist. It wasn't a grab. It wasn't a brutish hold. It was a grip. It was precise. It was anatomical. The monk's thumb found the exact nerve cluster on the underside of Blaze's wrist. The tender spot that, if you press it, makes your whole hand feel funny. The monk pressed. It wasn't pain. Not really. It was shut down. Imagine your entire consciousness, your very soul, being unplugged from the wall. A jolt of pure, white-hot, electrical nothingness shot from Blaze's wrist, up his arm, into his shoulder, and straight to his brainstem. His vision went fuzzy. His ears rang. His entire body went limp. His knees, which could squat 600 pounds, buckled as if they were made of wet paper. His arms, which could choke a man unconscious, flopped uselessly. He collapsed, not like a sack of potatoes. He collapsed like a giant, muscle-bound marionette whose strings had all been cut at the exact same instant. He landed on the cobblestones. Hard. The wind was knocked out of him. The ground was hard and smelled like dirt and spilled kombucha. He was on his back, staring up at the canvas awning of the kimchi stall. He was gasping, trying to pull air into lungs that wouldn't respond. He tried to move his right arm. Nothing. It was just offline. It was still attached, but it wasn't his. The crowd was dead. Silent. The only sound was the click, click, click of the wind chimes. All the phones were still recording. Amber's phone was pointed right at his face, her mouth a perfect O of disbelief. Mouse looked like he'd seen a ghost. A shadow fell over Blaze. The monk was standing over him. He wasn't winded. He wasn't breathing hard. He wasn't smug. He didn't say, "I told you so." He looked concerned. He knelt beside Blaze, his saffron robe pooling on the ground. He looked like a doctor checking on a patient. "I believe," the monk said, his voice perfectly calm and quiet. That was less than 3 seconds. Blaze just wheezed. The monk then did something else. He reached out with those same terrifyingly precise fingers. He tapped a spot on Blaze's shoulder, just below the collarbone, near the neck. A second jolt, this one warm, flooded down Blaze's arm. Burning. Feeling. He could move his fingers. He flexed his hand, bewildered. The monk stood up, brushed his hands together as if dusting off flour, and walked back to his table. He sat down in his simple wooden chair. He picked up a small block of wood and a carving knife. He looked up at the stunned, silent crowd. "Good morning," he said, with that same placid smile. "Can I help anyone find something?" Blaze McGovern just lay on the ground, humiliated, confused, and utterly, totally humbled. The aftermath was brutal. The video was everywhere. It wasn't just on fight forums. It was on the news. It was on late-night talk shows. It wasn't titled "MMA Fighter Spars with Monk." The titles were "Blaze Gets Zapped by Yoda," "World's Cockiest Man versus The Force," "MMA Clown Gets Touched by Monk." Blaze was a laughingstock. His sponsors didn't just call. They sent letters from their legal departments. Morals clause, bringing the brand into disrepute. His energy drink contract evaporated. His line of obnoxiously loud t-shirts pulled. Amber was gone. The second the video went viral and the comments turned nasty, she vanished. Her last text was, "You made me look stupid. I'm staying with my sister." Mouse and Dave, ghosts. They weren't answering his calls. The Blaze McGovern brand was toxic, and the rats had fled the sinking ship. But the worst part was the humiliation. He couldn't understand what had happened. It wasn't a fight. He'd been switched off. His coach, a grizzled old boxing purist named Sal, finally called him. He wasn't laughing. He was furious. "Leo," Sal's voice crackled over the phone. "I don't care about the sponsors. I don't care about the girlfriend. What I care about is that you are an idiot." "Sal, I don't know what happened," Blaze muttered. He was sitting in his huge, empty mansion, icing an arm that didn't even have a bruise on it. It just felt weird. Violated. He was like magic. "He just touched me." There was a long, heavy sigh on the other end of the line. "Magic," Sal said, his voice dripping with contempt. "Of course you'd think it was magic. You have a head full of concrete, Leo. You didn't pick a fight with a civilian. You didn't pick a fight with a monk to— What are you talking about?" He was wearing the robe, the beads. He was on a sabbatical. "You moron." Sal roared. "You didn't even Google him? You didn't look up the quiet stream sanctuary after he embarrassed you in front of the entire planet?" "Google what? Local monk?" "I'm sending you a link," Sal said. "Read it. And then, I don't know, maybe take up knitting." Sal hung up. Blaze's phone buzzed. A link. He tapped it. It wasn't a martial arts website. It wasn't a monastery's donation page. It was the website for the Johns Hopkins International Surgical Institute, one of the most prestigious medical institutions in the world. He was on the faculty page, and there, staring back at him, was the same man, the same calm eyes, the same placid smile. He wasn't in a robe. He was in blue scrubs, a surgical mask hanging around his neck. The name, Dr. Alistair Finch. Blaze's blood went cold. He read the bio. Chief of Neurosurgery. Pioneer in peripheral nerve mapping and non-invasive microsurgery. World-renowned for his Finch method, a revolutionary technique for treating brachial plexus injuries and restoring function to paralyzed limbs. He kept reading. Finch is an expert in the human nervous system, with specific focus on the ulnar, median, and radial nerves of the arm, Blaze's own right arm began to tingle, phantom-like. He scrolled down, past lists of publications and awards. Dr. Finch is currently on a one-year sabbatical, pursuing spiritual studies and philanthropic work at the Quiet Stream Sanctuary, where he also volunteers his time at their free clinic. It clicked. It clicked so hard it felt like a physical blow. The coldness, the precision, the shutdown. He wasn't hit with chi. He wasn't zapped by the force. He was medically disabled. Dr. Alastair Finch, a man who spends 10 hours a day with his hands inside a human spinal column, a man who knows the human body's electrical wiring better than the man who designed it. He hadn't fought Blaze. He had operated on him. He had identified the exact pressure point on the median nerve in his wrist. He hadn't just pressed it. He had applied the perfect, practiced, surgical amount of pressure to cause a total motor function shutdown of the entire arm. A targeted, localized, temporary paralysis. It was a brachial stun. It's what he does for a living. And a tap to his shoulder to fix it? Dr. Finch wasn't healing him. He was releasing the nerve. He was making sure there was no lasting damage. He was reversing the procedure. The irony was so thick, Blaze felt like he was choking on it. Blaze McGovern, the expert in gross anatomy, how to break bones, how to dislocate joints, how to choke a man out, had been systematically, effortlessly, and cleanly dismantled by an expert in microanatomy. He wasn't humbled by a monk. He was outclassed by a surgeon. Blaze didn't fight for 6 months. He couldn't. He lost his next scheduled match. He forfeited. His head wasn't in the game. His entire worldview, predator and prey, strong and weak, was shattered. He was a hammer. He had just met a scalpel. And the scalpel had one without even getting dirty. His gym felt stupid. The heavy bags, the grunting, the mindless pounding, it all felt so loud. He spent weeks in his empty house. The neon green Lumbo sat in the garage, a monument to an idiot. He'd watched the video, over and over, not the viral clips. He'd gotten the raw footage from Mouse, in exchange for a final severance check. He watched the monk's feet, the way he shifted his weight, the way his hand didn't grab but received. He wasn't a fighter. He was something else. Blaze was broken, and he knew there was only one person who could not fix him but explain him. He drove, not the Lumbo. He took his old, beat-up truck from before he was Blaze. He found the Quiet Stream Sanctuary. It wasn't some ancient, mystical temple on a mountain. It was a simple, beautiful, modern-looking building of wood and glass, nestled in the green hills just outside the city. He walked in. It was quiet. He felt loud. His very presence felt like a disturbance. He found him, not in a meditation hall, but in a greenhouse, meticulously tending to a wall of orchids. Dr. Alastair Finch, Brother Alastair. He was wearing his robes. He looked up as Blaze entered. He smiled. "Leo," he said, as if he'd been expecting him. "The orchids are just about to bloom." Blaze stood there, awkward, his huge frame filling the small, humid space. He was wearing a simple gray hoodie and jeans. He felt like a monster in a dollhouse. The roof," Blaze mumbled, his voice hoarse. "Is it fixed?" Alastair turned, misting a plant. "Oh, yes. Your bank transfer was extraordinarily generous. You paid for the roof, the new kitchen, and the library's expansion. The children in the after-school program, thank you." Blaze flinched. He had just told his manager to throw money at them until they shut up. He didn't know about a children's program. I didn't mean to." Blaze trailed off. I did. After. My manager said it was good PR. It was good," Alastair said simply. A long, heavy silence. Blaze finally just broke. "Ow!" It was barely a whisper. "How did you do that? What was that move? Was it Dimac? The touch of death?" Alastair actually chuckled. "A warm, kind sound. Gulenis, no. Dimac. That's cinema." He put down the spray bottle and turned to face Blaze. "It wasn't a move, Leo. It was anatomy. You are a very strong, very powerful man. But you are exposed. When you threw that punch, you opened your entire arm. You presented a bundle of exposed peripheral nerves at your wrist, just like a patient offering their arm for a blood draw. I applied pressure. Your arm went to sleep. That's all. But You weren't even scared, Blaze said, the childishness of the complaint hitting him even as he said it. I'm me. Alistair's expression softened. Leo, he said, 3 days a week, I spend 10 to 12 hours of time with my hands inside a human spinal column. I've held a living human heart in my palm. I've reattached a child's hand. I've watched a brain restart after a surgery. Your posturing, he paused, searching for the right word. Forgive me, he said. It lacked presence. That word again. Presence. The thing he had crushed in his hand. Your strength is loud. Alistair continued, gesturing to the delicate orchid. It's like a thunderstorm. Impressive, terrifying, but it passes. You rely on it. You are it. But you have no control. You're a hammer, Leo. And when you see something you don't understand, something as complex and delicate as this flower, your only instinct is to smash. Blaze looked at the splintered bird in his memory. He looked at the wreckage of his life. He was a hammer, and everything around him was broken glass. I want to learn, Blaze whispered. The words felt foreign, painful. Not that nerve thing, but the presence. The not smashing. Alistair looked at him for a long, long time. His gaze was analytical again. He was scanning him, reading him. Learning that, the doctor said, is infinitely harder than any fight you've ever had. It's a different kind of strength. It doesn't begin with punching. What does it begin with? Alistair smiled. It begins with sitting and breathing. We have a meditation class for beginners at 6 a.m. You would be disrupting your sleep schedule. Blaze looked at the surgeon. The monk, the man who had taken his entire world, turned it upside down, and then simply went back to his gardening. Blaze nodded. Zex will morgens. I'll be here. We don't get a cheesy training montage. Blaze doesn't become a monk. He doesn't shave his head. What we get is a change. 1 year later, Madison Square Garden. A title shot. The announcer's voice is booming. And his opponent fighting out of the quiet stream. Leo, the surgeon McGovern. Blaze walks out. The change is stunning. The neon green is gone. The entourage is gone. He's wearing simple, plain black shorts. His hair is shorter. His beard is gone. He looks calm. He's still 240 pounds of muscle, but he moves differently. He's not posturing. He's not bouncing. He's present. His opponent, a new loudmouth trash talker, shoves him hard at the way in, trying to get a reaction. The old Blaze would have started a brawl. The new Blaze just absorbs it. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't shove back. He just holds his ground, meets the man's eyes, and gives a small, almost imperceptible nod. It's not submission. It's acknowledgement. It spooks the hell out of the other fighter. The fight itself is a masterpiece. Blaze is different. He's not a brawler anymore. He's precise. He's economical. He's not wasting a single drop of energy. He's not throwing haymakers. He's using defense. He's using leverage. He's using joint locks and defensive moves nobody has ever seen from him. He's not a hammer. He's a scalpel. He wins. Third round. Not by a brutal knockout. By submission. It's a submission that makes the entire crowd wince. A devastatingly complex, surgically precise wrist and shoulder lock that attacks the exact nerve cluster and joint capsule he now knows by heart. The other guy taps instantly. The reporter shoves a microphone in his face. McGovern, incredible. We have never seen that submission. That was anatomical. Where did you learn that? Who's your new jiu-jitsu coach? Is it some kind of new mystic art? Blaze takes a deep breath. He's not even winded. He looks at the camera. My coach, he says, a small, private smile playing on his lips. He's just this guy I met. He's a gardener. He teaches me how to whittle. The story could end there. A perfect, satisfying resolution. But it doesn't. We fade to one last scene. The quiet stream sanctuary. It's late. Dr. Alistair Finch is in his own private quarters. He's just finished a 14-hour surgery, saving a young woman's ability to walk. He's watching a replay of Leo's fight on a small tablet. He watches the surgeon execute the final submission. He smiles, nods once. Good. The pressure was correct. He turns off the tablet. He hangs up his saffron monk's robe on a hook. He then hangs up his blue surgical scrubs right next to it. Underneath, he's wearing simple gray sweatpants. And he's not a frail old man. He's wired. He's not blazed, bulky. He's like a bundle of high-tensile cables. Sinewy, dense, functional muscle carved from stone. He walks to an old, wooden trunk in the corner of his simple room. He opens it. He pulls out an old, faded, worn GI, a martial arts uniform. It's black and has seen decades of use. He ties a belt around his waist. The belt isn't white. It's not brown. It's not even black. It is a deep, faded red, a ninth-degree Grandmaster's belt, the kind that less than a dozen people in the world hold. The kind that signifies decades of mastery, so complete, you've forgotten more about fighting than Blaze McGovern will ever know. Alistair stretches, his joints popping. He walks over to a heavy makiwara, a striking post in the corner of his room. He looks at his hands. The hand of a surgeon. The hand of a master. 14 hours in surgery. He mutters to himself, and a grin spreads across his face. It's a wonderful warm-up for the knuckles. He strikes the post. The crack echoes through the quiet sanctuary like a gunshot. And wow, he didn't just humble him with medicine. He humbled him with medicine when he could have used mastery. He chose the lesson, not the fight. So, here's my question for you. What do you think was the real turning point for Blaze? Was it the public humiliation, or was it the quiet moment in the greenhouse when he finally understood the difference between a hammer and a scalpel? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed that story and want more drama, more karma, and more twists that you just don't see coming, please give this video a like. It truly helps the channel. And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next story. Thank you so much for being here. Stay safe, be present, and I'll see you in the next video.